And I think we're probably live right now. I'm not
Yeah,
sure
cool.
because it takes about 20 seconds to know if we're live. So we're probably live while I'm doing this. I'm just waiting to have the feedback from my feed to see if we're actually live. I think we are. We are live. And oh, I've got the chat. Oops, wrong one. Okay. So I'm gonna turn off the other because I'm gonna have a feedback if I'm keeping doing this. So we're good. This is happening. Hi
My
everybody.
you-
Huh? What? What?
YouTube's telling me that Nu-Trix is going live.
Oh, that's it. So you're in.
Yeah,
You're in it.
Yeah. It's very Inception. Yeah.
So hi Troy.
That's
I'm
awesome.
happy that you're here. And in your case, you're Sunday morning, and in Australia, it's Father's Day. Father's Day. That's it.
Exactly. Yeah.
So happy
Yeah.
Father's Day.
Thank
So
you.
it's kind of I didn't know because in Canada it's like in June.
Yeah, it's funny that it's not like the same date everywhere in the world. You kind of think that it is, but yeah, it mustn't be.
Yeah, well, it's not like Christmas. So it's the first time I do this. We're gonna keep I'm gonna keep my eye on the chat, see if anybody comes in and have any question. This will be there's like I said earlier, there's like about 20 seconds between the live stuff that we do and that people see. So my time to answer to a chat could be longer than people are expecting because the time it takes to actually read it and react to it. So I'll try to keep my eye on this, but basically we'll start with the notion that you had a couple of questions because you sent me another email and we had a list of questions and there's many things you wanted to know. And I think for me, it's the easiest way to talk. If somebody drives question, it's easier for me to go into explaining how you can do this or answer these questions than just roll by myself. So it's the first format I'm trying, and we'll see. Also, there's a format about the time. We're on Saturday night. I'm not sure it's going to be always the best thing. In your case, in Sunday morning. So I'm testing out stuff. We'll see in the end if it's this format or another one. And that's it. So you had a question. Oh, and my camera just went down because it's too hot. Good. Perfect. Is it back? No, it's turning off. I'm here. So ask your question. Go ahead. That's your question.
All right. So while I'm still here, so I guess for me, drums has been a really interesting thing. 20 years ago, before I had kids, had a band, and we used to get in a rehearsal studio once a week and just jam out. And my drummer looked after the drums. I played guitar. We had a bass player and a singer and another guitarist. So there'd be the five of us. We'd have some pizza. But Brett, my drummer, he would just take care of all the drums himself. And I guess I've been getting in, mucking around with Orm, AUM, been mucking around with Cubasis as well. And I've got a few different drum machines that I downloaded. And I even have a drum programming book here that I got 20 years ago from my guitar teacher, who said, if you're going to, back then I was even doing some computer music on an old desktop sort of machine. He said, like, you should learn how to play drums on back then old computer and program them yourself in. And I guess where I'm sort of interested now is just like the workflow, a little bit of when do you put drums down? How do you put drums down? Do you put drums into a certain just specific app? I've got Seek Beats that you recommended, which is sounds sick. It has some amazing drum sounds in there. And I painstakingly programmed the drums in, and I did like all these different bars and stuff, and then I couldn't figure out how to get it to go from one bar to the other bar automatically. I could do it on the live sort of thing area. And
well, it's not really Sick Beats. It's not really a song.
No, it didn't have a song.
I think concept. There's like and that's there's many questions there.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, so that's my problem. I've got lots of questions.
But I mean, but it's okay because everything comes at at the same time. And then that's basically what you do when you explain. You have to bring order into chaos. So
Yeah.
the logic is, there's the first question is, why do you talk about drum machines? Because if we just talk about drums, they can be in a DAW or it can be on a dedicated drum machine app, and these are two different things. Uh, some of them can be included into your DAW, and some will be synced to it, and others will have to export the audio and then put it into your DAW. So there's a question of how you want to work. That's more about the workflow, and I would say, are the sound and the interface helping you get inspired? You know, so the fact that you say that you painstakingly put sound and program sick beat. There's a question: do you find it fun to do it, or is it painful? Because I know some people do drums because they have to, and it's not the part that they enjoy. They're good at piano, so they play a lot, but the drum is kind of not their force. Others have a blast programming the beats. So there's that question: is where do you feel that drum is something that inspire you, or it's something that you have to do? And if you could, you would just load a preset of a good drum that fits what you want, and that's it.
Yeah, it's an interesting concept, and I think that like I was just trying to find some really good acoustic sounds because I figured out that I kind of thought that for this track that I'm wanting to write, that the Seek Beats was a little bit too digital for me. So I started to look through some samples that I already downloaded a little while ago, and I was just sort of playing them, and I was just playing them live on my keyboard, and I was like, oh, this is not too bad, but I just feel like I don't have the talent
Yeah.
to
Okay.
like just to play the drums using a keyboard, or that's not a natural thing for me. And I always found that I can sort of tap okay in the car, and I feel like I'm a good car like steering wheel drummer.
Okay.
So just like patting away, I feel like I'm okay there. But when I actually would get on a live kit and now just on the keyboard, it just sounds crap to me when I play it back. If I try to just live drum it into the computer, and then I'll sort of muck around with moving the notes around a little bit, which is it's a way to do it. And I have seen people do that. They'll program live and then they'll just move the notes around with a pen, and that sort of feels a little bit tedious to me. Whereas if I pick up my guitar, I feel like I'm more rhythmical and I can play something and it sounds good, and I've got control over that, and I feel like I'm in control. And that's where I'm going back to the drum machines, because I can go, okay, if I put the bass on the 1/4, like the 1/4, or what, the 1/5/9, whatever, you know what I mean? Like every 4 beats, I put a kick drum, and then put the snare sort of in between, and kind of go boom, boom, boom. I can program that in, and that's, I've got the talent to click on the buttons, and that's okay. And I can adjust. I've been adjusting velocity and trying to get a little bit of like,
Okay. So
not just completely, yeah.
correct
So
me if I'm wrong.
it feels doable for me to do it in a machine. Like
Okay.
yeah.
But if I understand, if I guess right what you're talking about, I would say that if you could have presets of rhythm
Yeah.
that fit 85% what you want, then you would actually make them a little bit more yours. But that would be a great way to start. Well, if
Yes.
that's the case, then there's actually a couple of good answers for you. Uh, in Gadget, which you own, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
you can actually load rhythms in all the pattern or percussive instruments. There's built-in patterns you can just use.
Oh,
You can
yeah.
move between
Okay.
them. Same thing with Zen beats. There's also loads of beats you have, and there's always like in the case of Zen beats, there's two things. There's the drum sounds, the drum kit, and there's the rhythm, and you can switch them separately if you want to. So you can just keep the same drum, but change the performance, or change the drums and keep the same performance. So you can play with that. That's in Zen Beats. But in Korg Gadget, I'll show you if you want to. Let me actually share this. Now, everybody, bear with me. It's my first time doing a live Zoom on YouTube, so there might be some surprise. I'm going to share this. It should
Because
work.
I actually did load up GarageBand, and for some reason I don't like GarageBand, and I don't know if it's more of a. I'm not sure why I don't like it that much, but I did find some rhythms in GarageBand. I was like, this is kind of like what I was looking for, but I kind of find GarageBand very restrictive, and I don't like how it doesn't really interface very well with other things. But there
Yeah.
were some preset rhythms in there that I thought these were pretty good, and I actually been like copying some of those rhythms in there, but I didn't realize that Gadget had these. So I'm very interested to see this. This is cool.
Well, you know, I was thinking about this today. The fact that um, there's so many options today. You know,
There's too many.
but it's true. I mean, there's so many options, and when you say I want to create music, there's drum machines, there's synthesizers, there's groove boxes, hardware or virtual. There's DAWs. I mean, there's so many options. It's the hardest part is figuring out the right workflow for you. You know,
Yeah.
and there's I personally don't like Cubasis. You know, just I don't like the interface. It doesn't get me inspired. It's not that it's bad. It doesn't fit with the way my brain works. You know, it doesn't. I like Gadget. I like Zen Beats because they're pattern based. They're blocks, and I grew up with beatbox. You know, I my in '92 I bought a synth and the drum machine, and I started making music. You know, so my brain works in patterns of drums. You know, that's how it works. So when I go in front of a sequencer that is linear, it doesn't work. I
Mm.
think it's more for people who learn to play an instrument and are able to read notes and follow the long, you know, the length of a song, which I
Yeah.
can't. So, and that's why there's so many options because we're all different in the way we create. So it's okay if you know that GarageBand is cool, but it doesn't do it for you. It's
Mm.
fine, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And I have uh, most of the companies send me their software to so I test it. Some of them I did not do a video because I wouldn't know how to present it because I don't even get it. You know, there's this
Yeah.
software
Right.
that I know they're good and people talk about it like they're real cool, and I look at it and I say, well, I don't know where to go, and
Mm.
it's fine. You know, it's not for everybody. You know, it's okay. But let's go back to. Do you hear something?
Yeah. I can.
Okay,
Oh
perfect.
no,
Yeah.
no, no. Sorry, I can hear you, but I can't hear the drum. Sorry.
Okay, how do I make it that work then? Where is that supposed to go? It goes there. Is it at the right place? This here. You should have sound. It goes in the same microphone input. Um.
Unless the sound's on YouTube and not on Zoom.
Oh, that could be it. Do we hear it on? I'm gonna check the feed. Let me check the feed. Do we hit it on? I'm troubleshooting. We'll see.
I wonder if I could. I don't. Could get feedback.
No, it's not there. Okay. So I guess I'm the only one listening to it. Okay, let's try something else. I'm going to stop this. I'm going to try a different way. I'm going to try this again. Change this and go like that. Okay. And I need to do this again. And I'm going to mute this. If not, it's going to be in. Okay. Let's try this.
There we go.
Do you hear it?
Yeah.
You hear it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay, I've got the drum. Let's get rid of these for now. If you, I'm going to put it in full screen so you really see it. In the
Yeah.
corner, the left corner, you have this thing here. You see, there's this little kind of a
Yeah.
square with a dot in the top corner. You click on it, and then this is actually kind of a, I would say, arpeggiator of drum. And you can actually play different version and variation. Less variation and more.
That's cool.
And this is MIDI. So everything that comes out of this, you can record in your sequence. And then if you don't like the sound, you can change it. Because this is all MIDI. It's really kind of a, yeah, I think it's like an arpeggiator of a drum sound, of a beat. So you can say, well, I want something more, I don't know, more rock and roll, R&B in this case. Okay. So you can have a quick way to just have the sound you want. Do you have sound in the video, people? Do you have it? Do you hear it now? Whoa, this is not English.
Hey, did you see my son Charlie got in the chat and he said Happy Father's Day?
Thanks, Charlie. But it's not my. Well, I'll accept it. Can your son tell us if he hears the drum? Okay, good. They say it sounds okay.
Yeah.
It works perfect. So that's one thing that a lot of people, because this feature was not in the original gadget. This appear later on, and this, of course, if you're in the drum, you change the type of sound, not sound, rhythm you want, and then again, when you click on the bar, you get the kind of the original rhythm, and you want more intense playing or less. That's it. So it works really well. And what people don't know is this exists for about, I'm going to turn it off. If you go into, close this and select, I don't know, anything that is percussive will have this also. You go Tokyo, for example. This one also have this. So, and again, yeah, I'll go back to the one before because, oh, well, keep this one. That doesn't really matter. Let's actually record something. I'm going to record this and then stop this. Now, if we go, okay, so we have it. And I want to see this. So this is just a MIDI information. And that's the cool part. You can change the sound. You can, well, I don't want this. You move it where you want. So it could be a great way to start your drum without having to build everything. And you have something that is at least, the bare stuff, the skeleton of the rhythm you want. And then you add and then the variation option is fairly fun, And keep something in mind. You could actually use this on, let's say, on the first drum, and you might have many tracks with different drums. And you can load one on, let's say, the first drum and mute hi-hat and snare. And really just and take one of the rhythm they have, and the second one you mute the kick and the toms, and you just keep the snare and the hi-hat, and then you use the performance of the MIDI drum, sequencer, and then you combine these parts because you muted part of it. So it can become even more complex than what they thought of because you're combining stuff together that they did not give you. But all of this is MIDI. That's a cool thing. And remember that in the end, if you don't like the sound, you can export the MIDI file into something else and still use it as the MIDI performance with another sequencer or drum machine or whatever it is.
In this one, you know how you've got Tokyo there. Can you
Yeah,
use that same Can you copy that pattern and use it with the London drum kit,
you
or
should
can you
be. You
just
should be able to go
yeah
function, copy, and let's say I add another London in this case, and go copy here, paste here. The problem you'll have is they might not be assigned to the right type of sound. But
yeah, they've been mapped to different drums and stuff.
that's
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
So
I
you'll
get
have to
yeah
move the selection. But basically, this works. You know,
yeah
it can be
yeah.
copied easily. So this is one way to. But if I'm not mistaken, well, you might not have the same performances, the same arpeggiator between the, because of course the London has more notes than the Tokyo, so they might have different version of the rock and roll drum rhythm,
But
for example.
but to your point, like if there was something like a hi hat in Tokyo that you really liked, and you had sort of in this kind of mapped out the hi hat rhythm in this, that's where you just want to copy those hi hats into the Tokyo one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So
Okay, that
that's
makes sense.
and you have something similar in Zen Beats, where when you load the drum, uh, you can go at the top and say you have presets of the drum kit, and then you get the presets of the drum presets, so the rhythm itself. So and the way Zenbeat works, you can actually buy more rhythms and patches of sounds. So if you're into soul, well, they've got drums for that type of music, and they have the type of rhythm that goes into that, so you can go quickly. And again, it's MIDI with samples, so you can change either of them later on. So these are actually great ideas starters and
Mm.
inspiration starters if you're not into making your whole drum, the entire drum from scratch. It's one way to start. And even people making their own drums, sometimes they take this for starters and they build around it, and then they mute it, and the rest they build, that's what they keep. So we still use this as a way to get inspiration. So that's a cool way to use it if you want to.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think that where I'm getting to now, I've actually spent so much time looking into these drum machines is that I'm starting to figure out a few patterns that I do gravitate to. But I think that getting access to more patterns and listening to more patterns that are, because I've been trying to listen to some albums or some songs that I really like, and I was just listening to one of your tracks the other day and just listening to the drums that you had on there, and I was like, that's not too bad of a rhythm, and just the intro drums. I think I've got the normal sort of 4/4 kind of beat sort of drum in the middle of the song down pat. It's probably the stuff in between, or if you have like a pause in the music where you sort of start, you might just have kick, 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 and then start to build it up a bit with the drums. I think that's what I'm actually more in. That's interesting as a how to make the music sort of have some difference or some uniqueness to it, as opposed to just having the same pattern and maybe having a couple of variations on that pattern. It gets a bit boring after time, but yeah.
Well, I think that I'm part of these people who believe that I don't create the music. I'm just kind of a vehicle for it, a pathway for it to exist. I don't create thinking I'm going to have this in the end. I just let the song tell me what it wants. It sounds bizarre and esoteric, but at the same time, um, that's why I give myself some limits. I'm going to use only this software to create. And then later on, if I feel the song needs to go somewhere else, I basically accept it and I go outside of the limits I gave myself because I feel that the music is basically telling me it needs something else. So I'm going to listen to it. I know it sounds maybe bizarre, but my logic is that I one way I like to do it is I try to create the busiest part of the song, where the hook that I feel is most intense part, and then this, I can actually flesh it out. I can mute a lot of things, and some of the thing I mute or I keep becomes the intro.
Yep.
I take out the drum, and then it becomes the break, and then I kind of build my evolution of the song by muting stuff and by soloing stuff. Then I feel it's boring because these parts have not enough action. And then I
Mm,
add new stuff around it. So I build around these section, so I have more musical information, but it doesn't exist outside of it. So then it becomes unique in that section, you know. Um, but it's
that's
after
cool.
listening to the song many many times. That's why I'm I don't know how to read music, and I play by ear. I can sing on note, you know. And one thing I'm actually trying to do now, I'm actually gonna put my microphone and I'm gonna sing in it, and I'm gonna use a pitch to MIDI converter and use that as my melody because
All right.
it's faster for me than actually type in the notes. So that's my next step. I'm gonna use that. I've got a vocoder here as a MIDI out, so I can just sing in it, and I'll be able to have MIDI out. But also, if you use somebody who uses Ableton Live, you can record any type of monophonic sound, and you can convert that to MIDI. So,
That's pretty cool.
so that's, and I think there's probably one in the iPad that I don't know of, but because that's a way for anybody to. I mean, even somebody who plays guitar and doesn't sing could record the riff he wants and then use that technique to convert it into, you know, something else.
That's kind of my process at the moment, is just playing on the guitar, because I can get the melody, I can kind of come up with the chords and stuff on my guitar, and then like I've got a couple of keyboards. My mum's a really good piano, like she can play the keyboard and piano really well, and she can just listen to a song and just basically play it straight away, verbatim sort of thing, which is amazing. But yeah, I kind of struggle with actually fluently playing the keyboard, but I just basically write down the notes when I'm playing the guitar, and then I kind of put that into the keyboard later. But yeah, I was going to say, it would be great to see one of your songs on here, and just, I think that concept of what you said there, because I've got like a lot of tracks now that I've got drums, I've got some sort of bass line, just a quite a simple bass line, and then I've got a little bit of guitar on the top of it, and trying to put some keyboards and some arpeggiated so keyboards on top of it. But
well, I mean,
I do think I need to mute out some stuff, like you're saying.
Well, that's
Yeah.
part of the when I go into the what I call the production mode. That's where I start to think about the structure.
Yeah.
Think about how it becomes not boring, or I want to take more time to listen to that sound because it sounds really amazing. So I'm going to mute everything else so that sound becomes the main focus, and we hear and we can appreciate the texture and the evolution, and then we start back the song. You know. So it's trying to bring people to have some changes. I like to have my song always evolving. It doesn't mean a lot. I mean, because electronic music can be very evolving in a long movement instead of just changing every 4 beats. You know. In this case of this song that I'm actually working on, I think that the first thing I did was basically having a kick and snare. So I had something to follow. I think I'm going to go into this. So I had this thing working, basically. And I think it was this one. This one. Not even. Where is that? Probably is this one, the first one. Yeah. Probably was just that. You know, just to have something to follow. And the complete one is probably, I'm guessing, this one, because I start, like I said, with the full version, the one that has the most action in it. So I've got the snare also, and the music itself was this. And that was the beginning. That was basically the song. You I knew that now I needed to add bass, evolution, intro, outro, break, and everything. But that was it. And this, I did not even enter the notes because what I did, I went into, if I'm not mistaken, here, you can activate, where is it? Bum, 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 bum. Scale here. You can activate the arpeggiator.
Yeah, sick. Yeah.
So that's basically where I got the rhythm that is there. I played and I recorded the output of the arpeggiator, which is again MIDI, and it gave me this. So that's so. Then I did what I said earlier. I copied this over and over. I have the same melody and this one here. Oh, wait a sec. It went back to the beginning. We were here, if I'm not mistaken. Same melody, different sound, and lower. Then I play with the evolution of the filter, so I create more movement in it. Then I've got this one. Again, copy other the sound, and this one is wider or stereo. And I've got also, I think, this one. But they're all the same. It's all the same melody. If you unmute everything, that's what you get. So combined, it's full. So that's my busy one.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
And I've been just using this really just to play around with the different instruments in there and almost using it as from other systems to get sounds out of it, right? So I've been going from ORM just to get some cool sort of sounds out of the thing. But with this view that we're looking at here, like how many, I guess it's a little bit confusing because you got the different tracks and they're just the different instruments, right, that are playing.
Yeah.
But how long does it go for? Yeah.
Like you mean that's it. I have 10 tracks. Each track.
So you got 10 instruments though, right?
Yeah. I've got song with more than that.
But I guess you can have. I'm not really worried about that. It's probably more how it goes from the intro to the verse, the chorus. Like how does that work? The time does it go from top down? Does it?
Yeah, top of the first. This is the first track. Because I just start with basically my intro. Now, of course, that Jamie is talking about the fact that the label is not super. Well, you can actually go in and where you can do it. I swear you can actually rename this. I did that. Where can you rename this? Where can we rename this? I remember I did rename it somewhere.
Are you talking about the number 1 there on the left?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I don't know how to do it, but yeah. So I think that's what's not computing with me, but I'll figure it out later. But so you basically say number 1, that first line, it repeats. You can say how many times it would play through that.
Yeah, because right now, if you look at the bottom, just under Dublin, you have this loop window, little arrow.
Oh yeah.
So this is basically say it's going to stay in that mode. Anytime you click on the first or you open a window, the software understands you're creating. So you want to stay in that. So it's going to loop until you unloop. So you're going to be stuck on one. So if you want to say how much time it's going to play, you have this here. It's a 4/4 beat twice. It plays twice. This thing here.
Yeah, in the top left-hand corner. Yeah, okay.
And actually, you can. Yeah, that's where you can name it intro. There you go.
Yeah.
So you can say it's going to be a signature 4/4 beat, and it's going to repeat twice. Done deal. When that is done, it's going to go to the second one. Return.
Yeah, so it sort of goes. I guess it's like flipping the Cubasis thing, because in my mind, I'm sort of a bit more used to like a linear
This
Cubasis, right? So that's
this
this is kind
window,
of going
yeah,
downwards. Yeah,
yeah, it looks more like Ableton Live,
yeah.
where
I
it
don't.
works more like that. You know, you've got these tracks going, and this actually is made to export to Ableton Live in MIDI and
Yeah, okay.
audio, so you can continue in Ableton if that's where you want to go.
Because it's so funny, because I've had a few people say to me you should get Ableton, and I've kind of just gone with iOS. And I used to use a thing called Sonar from
Yeah,
Cakewalk back
yeah,
in early or late 1990s and early 2000s, and I've just got a new audio interface, and it came with Ableton, but I just thought I've kind of, it's there, but I don't want to even go down that rabbit hole. I want to stick with the iOS, the iPad at the moment. But
yeah. Well,
this is really interesting to know that this is the same as Ableton in terms of the workflow, I guess, or just how it sort of sequences it downwards. Yeah.
and yeah, this is how you can actually
Yeah, it's
structure
interesting.
it. And I mean, this for me, when I went from I was using Digital Performer. Not a lot of people use it, but Digital Performer, and I went from that to Reason to Ableton Live. And when I went into Live, it was so hard for me to understand how it worked. I was looking for adding menus, adding tracks, and importing stuff, and it's just you just drag it, it works. And it took me like 3 days to get, oh, it's a lot simpler than I thought, because I was looking for the old ways of doing it. And it was just right in front of you, just drag and drop, and it works because it's made to be doing the job without stopping, you know. But
What was really interesting here, that's another interesting thing, which is there's a fair bit going on. But if you look at track 4, I believe, one of those tracks, I was watching the cursor, it was going a lot faster
oh
than,
yeah,
say, track 2. So
yeah. Well,
it
that's
must.
it, because this one. Okay, let's go back to a one at the bottom, like this one here, for example. Okay, plenty of stuff happening. Okay, well, this, if you go into function, it will show you that this was in the track 4 is 2 bar long,
Yeah. Okay.
whereas the other ones are 8 bars.
Yeah.
So you can just click on 2 bar and say, well, I want it to be 16 bar long. And you can say it's going to be a 16th of a note, 32G. So you can actually have different time scale and different length running sync on the same. Um, that's not a track, but it's I would say a level. Let's call it a level. Let's say.
Yeah.
I don't know what you call it. There's the scene. They call it a scene. Here we go. Yeah, and let's go further. You can have stuff in one shot or in loop. So if it's in one shot, it means it play once and it stops. So it could be interesting because you could have something you wanted to play once, but the other tracks play twice, 3, 4 times before you go to the next scene.
Yeah.
So again, it all depends on what you're doing and the way you create. But in my case, this is just a 2 bar, and it loops because the other tracks are 8 bar. This one will loop 4 times while the other one play once.
And can you have 3 and get polyphonic kind of, like you get some strange, just like it won't be perfectly synced up and it may not finish, and then it goes to the next one down or not?
If you look here, you only have 1, 2, 4, 8, and 16. So there's no polyrhythmic kind of approach to it.
Yeah.
It's really straight. Unless you can change, I don't think you can actually change the length of the beat itself. Let's get out of this.
Because I have seen, I have been mucking around with a little bit of that, just using some sort of other sort of tools in AUM and stuff. And that's been fun, just to jam and just come up with like ever evolving kind of music that's sort of a bit more ambient, and it's just always changing. You can almost just let it run, and over 10 minutes, it may not play the same thing twice because you've got multiple things running at different times.
Well,
but I want to create a song, so this is perfect for creating a song that's a bit more structured and it's a bit more sensible.
And what's interesting is you can say, let's say I like this one here, this is one I like and I want to copy it. when you go function, you can copy you can duplicate, and you duplicate the entire scene.
Yeah, right.
And then in the other one, you can actually go and mute stuff. I want to mute this one, unmute this one. So when you mute them, they actually, if you take function off, you see that they're darker.
Yeah, I did notice that. Yeah. So
So
that's where you were saying,
they're not active. They're there, but they're not active.
and that's where you were saying you had the busy part of the song, and then you can quite easily go in here and mute the areas.
Yeah.
Like, so you start with the most complex part of the song, and
Most
then just
of
go
time,
back
yeah.
and mute it. Yeah. Okay.
But sometimes the next one I copy and I build around it, it becomes even more complex than the original one because I just create other stuff around it, and I double stuff. And then let's say I would often copy stuff around between tracks and have at least one sound that is very mono and in your face, another sound that are very, very pan and wide and maybe longer, and maybe or one with delay that is stereo. So I want to create movement. And then if it's too much, I might say, well, the mono one will play just for the first half, and the second half of the bar will be played by the other one. So they're kind of talking one to the other. So that's where I'm starting to free stuff around, and it goes back to the stuff I was talking this week on my YouTube channel about the focus, helping people focus on what you're listening in the song. And the fact that if you have too much stuff happening at the same time, and you're proud of all the sound and the music, but people would just say, "Well, I don't hear it. There's so much stuff happening." So if you're able to to listen to, let's say, the bass or the lead, but the lead is talking to the back, and the back is responding to the lead, it becomes interesting if one shut up while the other one is talking, because then you hear what the other one is saying. But everybody's talking at the same time, you just hear, a lot of noise. So that's one thing I tried at, but might be bringing back everybody at the end because I want a big end. But I will try to give the space for every instrument so that we have the time to learn about them, that they're there, they're doing their part, and they're cool about that section. So I might have this part. If you compare some lines, you'll see that some are basically the same thing, but after the notes, every two notes, I just drop them, so that one will support another one that is more busy, and the more busy will probably be in the background.
Yeah, I think that it's a really good concept of less is more, right? And I think that sometimes even just the song creation and having less unlimited sort of audio unit synthesizers and plugins, and I think this is where Gadget's quite good, is even the interface is less is more, and I think I need to spend a bit more time on it because I think this was actually help you focus on the music.
I would say that Gadget is offering a lot more than people are thinking, because
there is a lot of instruments there. Yeah.
If not just the instrument, the sequencer itself. If you go in and you click on the scale, you've got the scale, and you've got at the bottom. If you click on this, you have all the different controller of the synthesizer. Everything's there.
Yeah, right.
So you can say, well, I just want to change the waveform. Okay, there you go. Waveform will change following this graph, which is kind of weird. But you can have, whatever evolution you want for all of the aspect of this synth. Let's solo this, see how bad this sounds now. Come on. Did it have any tracks on this? Probably chose something that was muted. Yeah, of course they did. Or you can even just record it, And if you want to see what it looks like, you can actually go click in this section, and it was the VCO mud, or no, it was something else. No, it was the VCO mud. Okay, and you can say, well, here we go. That's my movement now. Oh, because I've got like 4 bars of it. That's it. I want to see the 4 bars. There we go.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Wow, that is very impressive. That's very flexible, isn't it?
it's really powerful. It's most people don't know that you have this because it doesn't show up. It's when you're in the notes by itself. If only if you click on the line beside the scale, that you've got all the other controllers. Hey, Mobile Music Pro. Hey there. So it's a lot more powerful than people think, because this is not very obvious, you know.
Yeah, I kind of, yeah, I probably just haven't spent the time with it. I should definitely get into it. So I guess one of the things I was wondering as well, like you've got this scene that we're looking at here, and I guess you've got the concept of just
I'm going to
figuring
reload
out.
it. I'm just going to reload it because I did. I'm going to reload.
How
Because
did you start? I guess I was wondering how you started. Like, did you start with, like, you were saying the melody, like, do you start with a melody, or do you start with just like 4 chords that you like, or do you get that like drum beat down first? What's the first step when you're looking at a blank canvas?
Most of the time it's a blank canvas, and I start with the drum, just to have some rhythm, because even if I'm gonna then just enter the bass line or a lead, I'm still gonna do it while listening to a drum playing,
Mhm. Yeah.
because the drum is kind of the first thing I put in. I grew up with a beatbox in my hand and a synth beside it, so the drum was always the first thing I would create. I would create the evolution of the rhythm, and then I would try to put a bass to support it. So I'm a much more rhythm oriented guy, and that's why when you listen to my stuff, there's a lot more rhythm than evolution of notes, because that's not my force.
Yeah.
So I would start with the drum first, and that's why sometimes I do the drum somewhere else, and then I copy it here, and then I load it, and then I use it in this thing. There's some song I actually did the um, there's actually some song I actually did in another app. I think this one here. Am I right or am I wrong? Flexible. This one. Yeah, that's it. This part here. That this is a sound. This is a loop, audio loop of a drum that I did in Sick Beats.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
So when it was ready, I just exported the audio file and then imported here, and I can continue with it, because one of the problem I would say with Gadget is it doesn't run audio unit.
Yeah.
With everything that we have today on the iOS, that's kind of the one real big no that I still find that I have to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
But even honestly, this album I'm working on right now, my workflow was to say I create in. Actually, it's not a question that I'm creating now. I want to finish a song that I did create in the past, basically, because the song that like this one was created last year, and I say let's finish it. I've got like 6 or 7 songs, and I say they feel like they're in the same family. Let's finish them. And so they were built with Gadget. Then I exported it into Live. Live, I'm triggering my hardware. I'm recording that back, and then I import that into Aria Pro, and I do my mix. But now I want to be polite. Aria Pro is making me lose my time, because I've been having so much problem with it in the last week. I'm not going back to it, to the point that yesterday I was preparing for today, saying, "Oh, I'm gonna play that," and then I load back my song that I did master last week. I was working on my master for that song, so I did my mix, did 3 different mixes, I did 4 different master, and I stayed at some stuff I wanted to change. So I opened it yesterday. No inserts, all gone. All my effects are gone. Nothing is there anymore. All the automation is there. Only the raw sounds. Like what?
Yeah, I think that I saw some people on Facebook said that they lost their entire song that they'd spent like a week and a half on, and they said that they're just not going to use it again. Which,
So well,
yeah,
the
that's
problem is that
interesting.
I saw other apps having some problem with adapting, let's say, to the audio unit format, and maybe unstable for a week or so, and then you have an update and it works. Aria Pro, there have been like not talking about anything, not talking about an update. So, and today I was saying, hey, I'm gonna redo my mix, and I said, no, if I redo my mix and I lose it again, I'm gonna lose my mind, you know. So, I now I'm saying just because Gadget doesn't have inserts and not inserts, but compatibility to audio unit, I'll try to do my mix only on Zenbeats and see what it does. You know, just because. But Aria Pro, until I see an update and I hear it's stable, I'm moving off it. That's sad because there's two things. This unstable reality makes it that it's unusable. But I was also feeling on at not at ease with it because the graphic tries to mimic a real console, but I feel that there's too much information on the same screen, and when you try to get to these little knobs and buttons, it's really hard to get. So it's stupid, but you find yourself doing it 3 times before you actually click on something, and you
Yeah.
clicking on other things, and then I didn't want to do that, and then so I think they're in for a big revamp. They might not even be listening to me, but it's fine. So I'll see. I'll see. And I see
And
people talking about this in the chat saying that Oreo Pro, I said it's insane the way it went from a very efficient, probably the most powerful mixer on the iOS to something unstable. But I don't know.
so I guess one of the other questions, and I think that you sort of explained a little bit around you're a drum guy, and some people aren't drum guys, but you are a bit more rhythm orientated. You get your drums in, and then you get used to maybe a bass line, and then you kind of build it up from there. And then I kind of got to the I really like your workflow in terms of getting to that busy section, maybe duplicating a bit, cutting it out, simplifying it, and then having another evolution, I guess, and sort of doing that a few times, and maybe
There's
you eventually get a song, right?
there's this type of approach where I just copy and then I move stuff outside. But then I would just basically, when I said that I let the song tell me what it wants, I just play it and I listen to the song. And if I feel that after 8 bars there should be something else happening, then I try to make it change to something else. If I
Yeah.
feel that it's been not busy enough, let's go into more busier. Or I feel that now we should have a drop, then I mute something. So I really kind of listen and listen and listen over and over to the song, try to figure out what makes it more interesting, and try to make it more. I don't know. I've got songs that really stop and change to something else, and I really change from one type of sound, electronic, and then I go to hard rock, destruction kind of a dirty sound of a drum, and then it goes back to electronic. And other song is just a gradual evolution. So there's no like one way to do it. I let the song tell me. So I think it goes with the mindset I'm in. If I'm into something more moody or really in your face, and we'll listen to the song, where does it feel right to go with it? So there's really kind of a I basically want to do something that I like.
Yeah, I think that
That's
that's what
it.
you have to do. Yeah, you have to do that. You can't
That
pretend to be something you're not.
and then there's some songs I listen later on and say, I did that. Oh, I'm good. Good, good. Because I did it because I like it, you know? And other songs I go, Eeh, you know, I need a friend for this one because it won't go it won't go where I want. So that's it. I think it's basically a question of trying to figure out how this song can evolve into being interesting, and you want to keep listening to it. You know, there's songs that would be over within 2 minutes because it told its story. You know,
Yeah.
you went through the whole, and then it stopped, and then you go, "That's good. I went through it." And other songs, you feel that they need to be like 6 minutes long. You know, I don't know why. Hey, there's more and more people in the chat. People, thank you to be here, and that's cool. It's my first. It's my first um, live stream. And does it work? Is it down? Are we on? Are we still on? Still sharing? Yeah, I have no screen here. It's like, do you hear us? Do you see us?
I think that people are still chatting.
Yeah, but it's weird because my screen is frozen when I look at the live.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Oh, anyway, we're having fun, so
I've actually found it really, yeah, interesting just to see. And I'm much of a, I like to go really broad and kind of understand a lot of things, but then get some guidelines and maybe getting a starting point. And I think this is a really good starting point for me that I can then kind of use as a starting point so that I can then go from, and then make it my own. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see. And we probably don't have time now, but you were mentioning the other day about the spectrum analysis and just giving
oh, I can show you
bases,
that. I can
bases
show you
and
that.
things.
I can show you what I did for that because that's the
So I
one
think that
thing.
it's kind of similar, right? So you muting things is one way, but there's also kind of dropping volume or changing the EQ to give
Yes,
space as well, right? Yeah. So it's kind of a bit of
that's the one thing I loved about Aria Pro is that I would loop a section, listen to it, and if I felt that I didn't hear enough of this instrument or too much of that one, I would go into automation recording, and I would actually write the volume, pan it in real time, and then when it's done, I stop using it, and I have the right uh, sound for the entire mix for that section, and I move to the next section, and I do that again. Now I have to relearn how to do it with another app because we won't talk about that. But that would be kind of the way I would really just listen and try to figure out how everything fits. But the problem is that my room is not acoustically treated. It's a cube, probably the worst shape possible you can have for a studio. I could do another video just on acoustics because I did build studios, so I know how to build the
yeah,
walls,
right.
the floors, and everything. We just went on that, and I can tell you that squares are the worst. And the problem I have is I don't mix that much here, so I mix with headphones, and I've got the sub pack, which is basically a sub on your back, and you feel the bass in your bone. So I don't have a sub in the room, and that's kind of how I would approach it, to do my mix. But then I did my mix. I was happy with it, and I put it in my speakers, and it seemed okay. But when I looked at it in my software, I use Insight 2 from Isotope, and then it's only on computer for now. I hope one day it's going to be on the Mac. And I don't know if somebody has a suggestion for a graphic tool that is as efficient as Insight. And I will load it, show people, and I hope my computer will be able to do everything as I do this. I'm going to stop sharing this. I'm going to open up my other software. Where is it? But where I was going with that, I was saying something. I was saying something as I said that. Um, yeah, if somebody has an option of a really good analysis tool for sound, that'd be great for the iPad because I don't have one that I found that is as efficient as the
So
one that
I
I'm.
mentioned, what about like Pro EQ, the Fab Filter stuff? Like you can see on there, you can sort of see a lot of the, you know what I mean? Like, have you used the Fab Filter stuff at all?
Yeah, that's what I
Does
use
it give
on
does
my
that give
Master
you?
out on
But does
Aria Pro.
but maybe show me the tool that you're going to show me. But it'd be interesting to see if Fab Filter, their Pro EQ, can give you some form of visual of the song. But maybe I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Let me load this up. If I just where is it? Come on. Is this one? Oh, that's it. That's this one.
There's a fair few people who've been chatting on this on their chat.
Good. That's what we're doing. That's what we want. Okay, so where is it? I have this. You don't see it, I think. No, you don't
No, I
see
can
it.
see you.
And my beautiful face. Hello. Wait a second. I'm going to share this, and I'm going to share. I think it's going to be easier to just share that one. Okay, and sound. So you want to hear this. So I'm actually using Studio One. You
That's
have it.
Presonus, I think, was it? Or Studio
Yeah,
One
it's
from
Presonus.
Presonus?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So and Studio One, you have it here. And if I play, let's say I play this one. Okay.
Yeah, cool.
So if I put it on the graphic, that's where I'm going to learn what's happening. Is it too loud?
I can't hear it, sorry. I can see the cool picture, but I
You
can't
don't
hear
have
it.
sound. Oh, damn it.
Unless YouTube has sound and I don't have sound.
And I don't see everybody on YouTube. Do you hear the sound? I don't know if you hear it. Um, but in my case, it's so loud. But why don't? Oh yeah, okay. That's the problem with Zoom. I'm gonna have to check out for the next time. But I'm gonna bring the volume down for me. But basically, if I can bring the volume down here, you'll hear at least the information. So what's interesting in this window, you have on the right section, you've got a spectrogram that shows you how the evolution of the song is. And at the bottom, you've got all the frequencies, from 100 hertz to 2000 hertz. And you see how busy it is. And you can see that my mix is it's too bass heavy because the
Yeah, right.
bass is really busy here. So it means that when I take that mix and put it in my car, I've got a Bose system in the car. It really rocks the car too much. So there's a problem. And
Can you
that's
really rock too much or?
well, it's just that it
I
becomes
know what you mean there.
the problem is that I don't hear these bass sound in my headphone clearly enough, and I don't hear it in my room because my speakers are too small. There's no sub, so
Yeah.
I'm mixing and I'm adding more bass, and by doing this, I'm actually making a bad mix. I'm making a big mix with too much bass, and when I move somewhere else, it's just like massive. Like if I bring this into a club, the guys will say, no, 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 no. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So this is really just you see just by looking at it, this is too bass heavy. So I'm going to have to
So
fix.
I still can't hear that, but I can see it. But it
Oh,
looks
I
cool.
dropped the volume because I don't
No, it's
know
cool.
why, but
That's
it's
fine.
kind of it's easy
It
to
looks
actually
cool.
see. On the other side, this one here, the sound field, it's really cool because that's where I saw that my mix that I did that I liked when I looked at it, it was actually mono.
Yeah, I was going to say
Everything
that
just
looks mono to me.
everything
Yeah.
was there. So like there's something wrong. My mix is not good. I need to change this. So I went back and I started to I went back to my mix and I added sound left and right. I widered some stuff. I panned more. I gave ping pong delays. So I know why it sound mono because when I recorded hardware, this is mono, this is mono, that is mono. So of course my sound is mono. And
Yeah.
like, okay, though. So I went back into Audio Pro and I went into um, switching from a mono to a stereo effect and then create space. But I, when I was listening to my mix, the problem you might have is you always listen to the song and then you rapidly find that it's good because you get used to that sound.
Yeah.
You know, you accept the fact that it's mono because you don't hear it anymore that it's mono. It doesn't surprise you at all. And then when you look at it, you go, damn it, it's mono. There's a problem. You know, well, it's not bad, but it's mono. So that's how I went into figuring out that I needed to find, like, you see that there's more action now, left and right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's part of because it's fine to be mono and then becomes wide and it go back to mono. It creates some movement, and it's okay that we don't hear it. You know why? Because if we hear it right now and I release this song in a month, it's going to be demonetized. So it's good that we don't hear it. Fine, let's go. It's good. But I mean, you see that. So this
Yeah.
tool, I if I can find this on the iPad, I'll be more than happy. But if anybody has something to point into this direction, that's something that does this, the stereo width space of your sound, and a spectrogram that is as flexible as this, I'd be more than happy. But for now, my guess is that I'm going to have to send back into uh, this to actually test it. I'm using this also when I do my videos, meaning when I do the final mix, I go into this Ice Insight to actually see, to be sure I'm in the value that YouTube will not destroy my sound before I can actually, when I upload it online. Because I don't know, but if anybody knows how to, YouTube does it, basically YouTube use loudness unit to affect your sound. If you're too loud, it will bring it down. If it's too low, they won't touch it. They just let it low. So you're
Mm.
gonna have to, if you have to mix, knowing that your loudness average should be minus 13 or minus 14. And if you don't do that, they will just drop it, and you will sound lower than the other. So there's a lot of things. So actually, that's it. I just wish I had something like this on the iOS. Um, I mean,
Was this
there's
very expensive? This tool? I haven't heard. I haven't looked it up yet. But
it's part of a whole package that I have from Isotope, and it's Isotope 7. And to be honest, it was free for me
yeah. Yeah.
because where I worked as a school, they provided the whole school with it, and I got it part of it. Um,
Yeah. Cool.
but I think the whole package is like a grand. But
Yeah.
it
Right.
does everything. I mean, you can even pull out noises of recorded from the microphone. You can take out reverb out of a recording. So it's really for sound design and cleaning up tracks and all that stuff. But if you would just buy this, my guess is this is about $100 just for this, you know, which is okay. I mean, if you use it a lot, uh, if you do a lot of mastering, it's a cool app. But I mean, there's other apps also. There's some things from Blue Cats that looks like this that is
Yeah.
free.
Okay.
So it's that's it. That's it.
That's awesome. Well, that's been
Um,
really insightful. Is there anything else we need to It's probably, what time is it there for you now?
It's 9:10 p.m.
Yeah, cool.
And there's actually a lot of people in the chat. I'm happy to see you guys. Thank you a lot. Yeah, Blue Mango. Yeah, I know. Mobile Music Pros talk about Blue Mango. And actually, hey guys, we'll finish this in a big together. Let's do this. I'm going to copy the link of a Zoom. I'm going to invite everybody in. We'll finish with this. If you're into Zooming with us, wait a sec. I'm going to do this.
Vortex would be up for it.
Hmm?
Vortex would be up for it.
Yeah.
Chat.
So I just have to figure out where my where's my link? No, that's not the link. That's the sharing the screen, you idiot. I'm talking about to me, not to everybody else. I'm gonna copy this. Copy this. Copy this. I don't know. Your invitation might be in French. Don't be surprised. So that's the Zoom link. If you want to get in, and there's a password. You click on this and you type the secret password, and it's good for now. I will let you in, and we'll finish with that. And that'll be that for the first one. So, who wants to be part of that? Well, wait. What's Zoom? Zoom, it's you know what Zoom is. It's a joke, Sascha, I'm sure.
So do you use a lot of those hardware synths to kind of create songs with, or do you just use them to, like, you trigger them from the MIDI on the computer, or a bit of both?
I like to make sounds. So when I play with them, I mostly do sound design. Just play with it and create. And I don't really create songs when I use this. You know, I don't create song per se. So I basically just use iPad, and then I use this because the problem is that all of these are really cool and all of these work really well, but the way they work, they don't have a song in them.
Yeah.
So, but that's another project. I want to finish the project I'm doing now, which is my iPad, Ableton Live, recording these and finish that. And the next project will be trying to just to use hardware, like the TR8S to trigger the sequencer of this one. This one is a sequencer. This one is an arpeggiator. This is a sequencer. They could be all triggered by the TR8S, and then also trigger the iPad. So then the iPad becomes just another instrument, or the recorder, or the effect processor with the rest of it. So it's just that would be another approach, another limits I would give myself. Uh, There's a question of design or concept for the next one. But this one now I want to finish it. But to be honest, I don't create songs directly on that, you know.
Yeah.
So unless I maybe this, because this has the option of having a whole sequence and a song in it. So this might be something I would actually take and go on vacation with, and you know, play a whole
And
song.
can you load in samples, or has it got sounds inside that, or?
This one has two synthesizers.
Okay.
Basically the Supernova.
Yep.
And there's 4 tracks of sounds that are samples. And I did actually did a sample pack for this one, and the sample are getting in using the USB.
Yeah,
So
cool.
you just need to connect to a computer and USB download, and you would have your sample in it. So, but yeah, and this works with battery, and there's a speaker at the back, so you could just go, you know, on the balcony depending on where you can go today with the COVID. You don't go too far. Oh, there's two people in the waiting room. Okay, where are you? Come in. It's Jamie and Jeremy. Hello there. Hello, Jamie.
Hey,
How you doing?
I'm all right. How you doing?
Good, good. What time is it where you are?
It's let me check. Hang on, just after 2.
After 2 in the morning?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you to be there, man.
Oh no, cool. I was just gonna watch your stream and then go to sleep.
Well, I'm actually. It's the first time I do it. I'm trying different format. This is what I'm doing right now, and I'll see. I'll ask people if they like this. I don't know. We'll see. I'm testing live format for my YouTube right now.
Yeah, yeah. I've never done it because I love making videos, but and I do a lot of live streaming, like performing. But like the idea of creating and using apps in a live stream, I find a bit frightening.
It is. I'm always wondering if something's going to crash. Well, there was no sound at one point, so
Yeah.
it will happen again. There's something will crash. The uh, feed will drop or whatever it is. We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, these things happen.
So,
But
yeah, go ahead, Troy.
now I was just going to say that it's interesting watching you using Gadget.
Yeah.
Because I really, really like it. But it is very frustrating to me that I can't bring other things into it. I can't use my other AUV3s and
Yeah.
I can't do audio in it the way that I would in Cubasis or similar DAWs. And it's frustrating to me that there's no good way of hooking it up other than what I do is I finish something in Gadget, allowing room for like real audio instruments.
Mm-hmm.
And then I take the whole thing over to Cubasis and carry on and add guitars and stuff.
Okay.
Do you export that out as a WAV file, Jamie? Do you export the Gadget out as a WAV file?
Yeah, but I export everything separately. I want everything on separate tracks. And Cubasis works really well in that way because Cubasis 3, I mean, works really well in that way because at that point, I've turned the music from Gadget into real audio and it handles the real audio really well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it works. It works, but that's the only solution I've been able to come up with. I can't, if you know what I mean, I would like to be able to record them simultaneously.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a question. They will have to do it. It's for me. They're doing what Reason did in the past, what propeller heads did with Reason on the computer, where they were close, and one day they were like, "Well, if we want to survive, here's VSTs." They just open up at the last moment when people were moving away from it. So they're going to have to do it at one point. If all the apps on the iOS are AUV3 compatible, they're going to feel lonely at one point. So they'll have to do it. And it's, I mean, it's, I won't say it's easy because I'm not a developer, but it's kind of where it's going. So you're going to have to get with the program, and it's going to be so liberating because there's so many great apps in AUV3. And you're right. That's probably where I get stuck all the time saying, this one part is the worst part of Gadget, the fact that it's closed. But again, it's the best part of it also, because when you're using it, you don't start looking for plugins. You're just creating a song. The limits force you to say, "Oh, I'll finish this." And then I'll do something else.
Yeah.
But I'll try something because you can actually send MIDI out to other apps, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah, you can. Yeah, yeah.
And then when you record, then it's kind of an awkward recording. Yeah, it's not a full track of recording. Yeah, well, that's
Well,
it.
what I have done is I've used Gadget, using some of the sounds from Gadget, and also using it to send MIDI to to AUV3s that I've got open in Elm.
Okay.
Right. So in Elm or AUM, I've got sound from Gadget coming in, and I've got MIDI from Gadget coming in, and I can also use multi-track to add audio to record my guitars and stuff. The only problem with that is it becomes such a big CPU intensive project that the iPad struggles to cope with it.
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, I'm still on a 2017, so you know, a bigger iPad that might actually be a decent workflow.
Yeah, but still, I mean, having to go through all that loop
Yeah.
because the one-stop solution is not working. That's kind of a yeah, a lot of work for just something that should be there.
Yeah.
In my view.
So Nu-Trix, you're into this Zen Beats thing, and I have Zen Beats, and I think it's free, right? So I've opened it and I've played around with Zen Beats for 5 seconds, but it feels like Roland art, and you know some secret stuff. I think you do anyway. That they might be doing something bigger with Zen Beats, or
well, what I know from Zen Beats, first of all, Roland bought it. It was called Stage Light before, and it was made by the company Open Labs. Now, if you go back in time in 2000, Open Labs, one of the company that made hardware synthesizer running a Windows platform and VST plugins. So you had a keyboard that you would load VSTs in it and play it on the keys. So that was
wow.
Open Labs in the early 2000. So they went in and they had Stage Light, and the first logic behind it, it was be one version on all the platform. So Stage Light was already not like what Zenbeat is today, but most of it. I mean, the core stuff was there. Roland bought it and said it's part of our big design. So what I know from Roland is that it has this vision on long term, where they have part of their entire Roland cloud. Sascha is coming in. There you go, Sascha. Hi there. Don't let him coming in. But what Roland is looking, you there? You hear us? Hello?
Hello?
You here, Sascha?
I'm trying.
So while you do that, I'm just going to finish what I was saying. So Roland Cloud is part of this big design of Roland, where Zenology is part of it, and Zenology and Zencore. The logic is that this should be the possible option that people can go between different stuff all around the universe of Roland. So you could have a MC 707, the beatbox sampler groove box that they have. You could load sounds and synthesizers from the cloud into it. You can play with it, and then when you export it, you could go at home running Zenbeats and running the same sequence with sounds that are from Zenology also. So their logic is to say at one point you could go from the Groovebox to their keyboard to the iPad to your station, and basically you don't need the other parts, because when you're in your laptop, you don't need to bring your Groovebox with you. You're in your laptop, and when you send it back to your Groovebox, you don't need your laptop. You can do the same thing. So they have this vision, and I don't think it's ready yet, because when I talk to people, they say, "Well, this doesn't work on the Phantom. This doesn't work on the MC. This is so." The, they're going into that direction where I'm guessing in 2 years you're going to go from a Roland keyboard to a Roland Groovebox to your iPad to your laptop, and it's going to be the same song with the same sound everywhere. So this is going to be totally different. And the fact that you can be, well, I'm finished working on my iPhone. I upload in the cloud. I go back on my Groovebox, I download, continue working on it. That is pretty powerful. So that's
Yeah,
where
that's cool.
Roland seems to be going right now. So I'm just curious about what they're going to have soon. But the Xenology, there's like new synth coming up every almost 2 weeks now. That this week they released the Jupiter 8 model expansion that recreates the Jupiter 8. So they're really active on this.
And that's just on the PC though, right? Like
right now, that's on Mac and PC. And when I talked to them, and I said you have to put it on the iOS, and they said we're looking at it. We're looking at the iOS community, music production reality, and basically, depending on how it evolves, we're going to jump at one point. The question, for what I understood, was basically they're looking at when to jump, but they're going to have to do it anyway. Hi, Sascha.
And I can't seem. Yeah, hey, Sascha.
Hey.
You can't seem to use Zen Beats from AUM though, AUM, can you? Have you tried doing that, Jamie, or have you used Zen Beats at all, Jamie? Or I know
I've used Zen Beats. I'm learning Zen Beats at the moment.
But you can't use it from any. I can't seem to get it from anywhere else. Like I can't seem to see it even as an option in AUM or Audio Bus or any other. It seems like it's a closed platform to me.
Yeah. I've not been able to do that either. But I am trying to learn it at the moment because I found that it's very, very stable.
Yeah. Well, more than when it came out.
Yeah. Well, more than everything except Cubasis 2, I think.
Okay. So I'm not the only one. Right now, Area Pro, I'm not using it anymore because I lost most of the stuff I did in the last week.
It's done.
And I'm so mad because it was the best mixer on the iOS.
It was.
Now it's just it's useless.
Mm.
And for what I hear, Cubasis 3, not yet there.
No.
A lot of promises not fully fulfilled, for what I understand.
Mm.
But I don't physically look and feel. I don't enjoy Cubasis, even the 2, because it doesn't fit with my mindset. I prefer pattern-based. So that's why Gadget is really cool for me, but you don't have the UV3. And I tried. Yeah. I have Nano Studio 2. I have Beatmaker 3. Beatmaker, I don't get it.
No,
I think it's for people mangling with samples and doing like beat makers, like when we say people doing beats, which is not what I am. I'm a synth guy. That's in my name. That's what I do.
When people talk about making beats, I don't. What is that?
Well, they're programming beats. They're making mostly, like, I'm not saying just hip hops, but a lot of people using samples and playing them in a different fashion. So people using MPCs and SP404 type of samplers hardware, they'll be more inclined into going into Beatmaker 3 because that's their clientele that they're targeting, which I'm not. So I just don't get it,
No.
So
I think we are all from different places of making music. Mm-hmm. So I know Jamie is more the hippie style with making guitar playing. You are more into synthesizers with a little bit of part of the iOS. Mm-hmm. Troy, I don't know. I think so. You are more into classical parts, or I'm right?
I'd say guitar background, but also. I really like electronic music now, and maybe it's just through work and just trying to concentrate with headphones on in a busy office environment and getting into more electronic music that's kind of, I guess, less vocals and less sort of distraction to some degree. But then I've really kind of grown to enjoy that, but I don't know how to create it. Hence all my questions. So I'm more of Jamie, I used to go into studios with the band and record stuff. And one of my friends, he's still playing bands, and my old drummer is still playing bands now. And that flow of even just going into a studio and putting down tracks and stuff, that makes sense to me from that linear point. But now I love the electronic music, but I just don't know how to go about creating it or the workflows. And I'm one of those people that just likes to think about what's the most efficient workflow, or what's a structured workflow that I can go from start to finish on. And that's what today's been really interesting. What about you, Sascha?
Yeah.
What's your kind of background?
My background is not music producing. I'm more a listener of music, but then I decided to try myself a little bit into. I have no thought to be professional at this point, but I'm interested in sound design and such a thing. I mean, I'm from a psychedelic background, so I start my music listening with go-up psytrance. So I'm almost into electronic music, but I'm a little bit, I love my music scene and my style. And so I go the whole, it grows into different subgenres. So now I thought, okay, I don't want to sit in front of a computer, because I'm almost every day in front of the computer at work, and had tried to go with synthesizers. But I really fast recognized that it's not really possible, or even very hard, to produce the sound I like without a computer. So that's why I decided to go to the iOS platform, because they have the chance to work a little bit more like in a DAW. But also there, it was really fast that I recognized, okay, Cubasis is the most, the best place where I could create these beats. Also with the AV3s inside and such a thing. But the workflow is really hard. If you check out tutorials, for example, of this specific genre, then you have a lot of steps that you can't reproduce in Cubasis, for example. That's why I say, if they would give me Cubase 5, for example, for the iPad, I really would be so happy. And Serum, for example, because the most of the designs, sound designs, are so complex that it's really hard to find the right synthesizer, or I have to build inside AUM with different effects, the synthesizer, then different effects, like 3 or 4 or 5 effects, to get nearby the sound I want to create. And this is why I'm still a little bit of a waiting phase. So I check out what's happening in the iOS world to see where it can go to produce some music. And I don't want to be static. I don't want to be static in front of my desk. I want to go out, set up my headphones, making music. My first sequencer I bought was the Deluge. I don't know if someone I think Nu-Trix knows. Jamie is also. It's like the circuit, only a little bit deeper.
Yeah,
I think
a little bit deeper.
A little. A little bit. It's almost a little bit too deep for me as a beginner. Because if you have a specific think about sound that you want to make, and you want to make it with a Deluge, it's really hard. Mm-hmm. But I think in combination, the Deluge and the iPad, this could really be a perfect match. Because as a sequencer, it's perfect for melange and.
Yeah, it's I mean, that's I think that the hardest thing, and I think Troy, it might be kind of the answer for, right, not the answer, but one of the answers is that the workflow that everybody has to find is one that actually fits how we get inspired, and how we get from point A to point Z. And we all have a different way to do it. And honestly, it will change. The way I
Yeah.
made music when I started, the way I made music 3 years ago, the way I make music today, and the way I want to do music for my next EP after this one is ready will change. You know, it might be hardware connected to the iPad, like Sasha is saying. You know, if you combine two things, it's even go further. Or it might be no, let's limit myself to just one thing and get the maximum out of this. You know, what I tried to do, the next thing I want to try as kind of an exercise for myself is say, well, let's do a song with every piece I have, you know, just to force myself to know everything about that piece. And that's a lot of work because everything that you can find today is a lot deeper than we usually get in. So it can do a lot of things. So it's kind of a big thing to say, let actually, you have apps on your iPad, use one to do everything with it. But we don't because we want to just try all of them, or we don't go as deep as we could. But all of the software that we have are really powerful, and they do a lot more than we actually do with them. So
Yeah.
it's so giving yourself limits is also a way to focus on the steps of your creation. So you need
But
to
this
find your own
also,
path. Yeah.
Go, Sasha.
but this also, in my thinking, it depends on the deepness of the sound and of the music that we want to make. If you have like the Mobile Music Pro tutorials in the last weeks, if you see the session where he makes the phrase, the vocals, like how you build a song. You know, if you have nothing in the iOS music world, for example, that goes to this specific genre, it's hard to find a workflow that fits because you have to try by yourself, and you have so many. So it's limiting. It's not always the best. I can understand that it's in some point it's great to have limits because you push yourself to try out different things to reach the same goal. But if you every time comes to a limit, it's really hard to stay there or to go
Yeah, I
with it.
understand.
Because now what I say, if I check out tutorials, the most people in my music genre are working with Serum, UHE, isotope things, the new pigments synthesizer, and you can't say that you have anything like this on the iPad yet.
Nope.
There is a new synthesizer I discovered today. Someone brings this out. It was also on the Facebook group. It was a 6 oscillator hybrid synthesizer from Crema something.
Pendulum, is that the one?
No, it's not a synthesizer that it's out yet. It's now short before the beta testing phase. And this looks very promising because it goes in the direction of a wavetable synthesizer, but like Serum, I have to say. Like Serum, like Pigments. And I'm waiting for something like this.
Have you tried Wavestorm?
Yeah, but Wavestorm is still pretty unstable, I guess.
Okay. Hey, and Sascha, what was the type of music again? I didn't quite catch the type of music that you're into. I wouldn't mind having a listen.
At the moment, it's very fast psychedelic trance.
Yeah.
It's called psycore.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Or dark psy is the a little bit slower music, or experimental psy, where you go like from 150 BPM to 200, 250, 300 BPM, with a lot of breaks, with a lot of deep, with a lot of dark voices, much atmospheres. And that's why I also want to see a synthesizer like Serum, because you have the modulation options are very deep. You can do a stepped LFO sequence, for example, in the beat, and these are things where you really can modulate the delays, the filters, everything, and the pitch. And this is what I'm missing a little bit on the iOS world.
Yes.
Well, somebody
cool.
will come with something that is more modular, you know.
Yeah. MIREG was for me the first thing where I had this chaos that I want to know, that I want to have.
Well, I kind of get that. I've been mucking around with my rack, and man, there's so many cables going around, and I've tried to do the simple tutorials, and I kind of get it, and I've downloaded a couple of patches that there's just a screen, a wall full of things, and I'm like, it's super, super cool. And the technical part of me is like, that's really impressive. But man, there's a lot going on. And sometimes you do just want to open up a synth and just choose a preset.
Yeah.
And just hit a button and hear something. So I'm kind of like torn, yeah.
It's in MIREG, I think. I watched a little bit of tutorials of Omricon. It's also a German YouTuber, and he does a lot of basic stuff with the basic modules, with the mutable models. And this was really great. And after some time, I only took some modules and patched cables. Totally chaos, without even thinking about what I'm doing. I'm only listening what comes out. And because I want to have chaotic music and sounds, so I don't go so deep into which note is it, or do I have to think about, is it fitting to another bass note or something like this. I only try to create sound. I don't think a lot of it.
So you would love a random button on it. Random.
I love random buttons. Random buttons are the best invention of
a random
time.
patch, random patch, rhythm. Yeah. Well, that's great. Actually, there's some cool apps with this. I think it's Cauldron is one of the synthesizer that has a random, and I mean you just patch this and then you just like, oh, I never knew that this synth could do this sound. You know, just like, okay, because you would never patch it this way.
Yeah, it's like a Moog synth, no?
Yeah, but it has a much more powerful matrix of modulation.
Yeah.
Than the basic Moog. So
I have this one, but I doesn't go so deep with it.
Guys, I'm really happy that you were part of this. I just have to say thank you, everybody. Thank you, Troy, for saying yes to this experience for me. Thank you, Jamie. Thank you, Sascha, to jump in and just being there. Thank you, everybody online to get into the chat. And if you guys like this type of format, that's one way I could do streams in the future. So I'm just experimenting different types of content online and interaction, because I think that when I did my interview with Jacob Hack, he pointed something very important, is that when you do a stream, the interaction is what is king. Not just content is not as important, because people want to interact, people want to talk, people want to exchange. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to figure out a space we can just chat about things. And, I don't know if I'm going to take this video and then chop it up to keep the best part, or just leave it like that. We'll see.
Leave it like that.
Yeah, I think it's
natural. It's natural.
It's a full thing. So thank you for joining in, and I don't know when the next one is. Maybe next week. I'll figure out something else.
Thanks, Nu-Trix. Really appreciate all your advice, and I think that you've got a lot of wisdom and a lot of experience, and I think that the community. Yeah. But I think everyone is really kind of just interested to learn, and I think that you've got a lot to share. So yeah, really appreciate your time, and I've got a lot out of today. So yeah, thank you.
Oh, good. That's why I'm doing it, because I want to share what I learned over the time, and I'm also so curious, because I don't want to grow up or grow old to be the grumpy guy that only knows the music that he learned when he was young. I want to be like push, like Sascha saying, this is other style of music. Like, okay, so I got to know about other style of music. I got to be interested in other stuff. Like I'm curious when Sascha says, "I can't do this," and like, how can we do it? You know, I'm trying to figure out how we can do what Sascha wants to do. You know, I'm probably going to ask him exactly an example of a song he wants to do, and try to figure out how we can do that sound. You know, we'll have to chat about that, Sascha, because it
Would
just
be nice.
that's what I like is when people say I want to do that sound. They're like, okay, how do we do this? You know, and of course they say with this software, you go, well, no, this one doesn't do what you want to do. So, but that's what I'm getting. I understand what Sascha is saying. So, but I'm curious about exactly the example of the sound and try to figure out how we can do this. That gets my juice flowing. You know, how can we do it? So,
yeah, I will search for some examples and then we can chat about it. Would be nice. Would be nice because I mention my background often in forums or communities because I didn't find anyone who creates the sound really in this world I live now. Okay. And I don't. This sound is more underground, not like commercial psytrance or something like this. So you have to go to Berlin, and I'm in the middle of Germany, and I don't have time to go to Berlin to find people who I can talk with it. So
well, that's why the internet is there. We can connect. What I want. Even that's it.
That's what I want to say. That's community about.
That's cool.
You should definitely put the most kind of a couple of tracks or a couple of links to tracks. I'd love to hear it in the comments of this video. It'd be great if you could put that in there because I love listening to new music and just always interested in different genres and things like that. It'd be cool.
I think I will find a good various artist album where a lot of songs are that I really like, and so you can catch up this one. It's a few years old, but it's a really, really great, where I know, okay, all songs are really great.
Perfect.
So thank you for letting join me.
Yeah, that's a problem now. That there's this, with Spotify, we've almost got too many options. There's like thousands or millions and millions of tracks, and it's hard to find what is that hard, sort of,
it's
that
hard to
classic
find on
album.
Spotify. I'm mostly on Bandcamp.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, cool. Awesome. Nice meeting you as well, Jamie. Really enjoyed your sort of YouTube channel as well. So yeah, thanks, man.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. And thank you for participating. So see you soon and be safe and make more music, guys.
Yeah.
Have a great night or a great day.
I'm going to, well, for me, it's almost 10 o'clock. I'm going to put the kids to sleep now.
Tell a good bedtime story.
Bye, guys. Thank you again.
See you guys.
See you later.
See ya. Okay, bye.